Hey, Coach. My name's Tom Woods with R2 Sports Technology. I'm going to take just a quick second here. This video is going to highlight one of the things we do called Coaches Weekly Briefings. I thought I'd take a quick second just to kind of preview it, and then this will blend right into an actual example of a briefing we do for our clients. Here's the spirit behind this real quick. We call this a Coaches Weekly Briefing. It's a play on something that happens every day in the United States called the President's Daily Briefing. So every day, the President of the United States gets a quick hit briefing from his national security team, right? Where they come in and they have a quick, summary sheet or quick little presentation. And they'll spend 20, 30 minutes with him saying, hey, here's what the hot spots in the world. Here's what's going on. Here's the things to be aware of. And that's what keeps him up to speed, starts his day every day with that kind of thing. Not in very many ways, because it's not like it's really that. I'm trying to overstate it, but we call it the Coaches Weekly Briefing as a play on that. What we do for our guys, if they choose to have us do it for them, you'll see a number of the different things that we offer. We do things called dashboards and Code Breaker, where we can generate tendencies. We get a bunch of information for coaches. What a Coaches Weekly Briefing is us, this, say, an objective outside non-coach third party reads that data for them for 20 minutes or so. And in many ways, like a president's daily briefing, it hits the highlights. It says, here's the things that do and don't matter at a high level. Here's what's going on. So as you come into a game week, if you sign up to have us do Coaches Weekly Briefings for you, what you would see us do is what you'll see in this video that follows here in a few minutes is an actual example of one. But it's us taking the data that we've generated for you and reading live for 20 minutes. But when I say live, we do it live and record it, and then we send you this video. You can watch it whenever you want. But as you come into your day, your week, as you start getting ready for your next opponent, it's going to tell you, hey, here's what the data is telling us. Here's the themes. Here is where this guy can hurt you. Here's where he can be had. Here's the potential hotspots. Here's what you got to be careful of. This is what we see in the data. So the video that follows is an example of that. It's one isolated example. They're all as many and varied as the teams we work with. But it's that spirit. It's very custom. It's very unique. It's each week. It's, hey, here's what the data's saying. As you go start getting ready to plot your plan of attack for this week, here are the right themes and things to be picking up on and seeing, and go have at it. So I'll leave you with that. You can go ahead and watch this video. If you have more questions, by all means, reach out to us. We'd love to spin one up for you and show you a little bit more about what we're all about. Thanks, Coach. Take care.
Things, but this is set right now. It's showing us your offensive self scout. So it's got the 5 games you've played so far in here, and again, I'll tell you, I mean, this is a good looking This is a good looking offense. I mean, the color being lots of green and blue, 55% efficient, 6.6 yards of play, running the ball really well, 62% efficient, throwing the ball well. You're doing so many things well offensively. So, I don't want to, just nitpick it or anything like that. This is a good, healthy offense. The key to what we're going to look at here is what we can do is integrate opponent scout data. So I went and pulled all this Hampton data we could find, and if I hit this toggle switch and move over to opponent scout here in a second, should update. This is we're gonna in one dashboard we can go back and forth. And so we can see this is how Hampton's defense is doing. So this is what Hampton's defense looks like versus what your offense looks like. And so that helps us potentially plot a path and look up a few things that could be important to note. Okay, so one approach, and this kind of, the SWOT reports that we generate, the genesis of those is kind of in what we're going to do right now. That's what one of the more powerful things about Pro Football Focus is data, is just the fact that it's standardized. It's the same fields for everybody all the time, which makes it really easy to line things up. That's why when you're left to your own devices with your own breakdown data, sometimes that's harder to line up how you look against an opponent. But when the data is real standardized like that, it makes it pretty easy to do. So let me give you an example of a couple of these types of things. And again, man, I really should be more attuned to kind of the way you guys attack things. And if you, hopefully if you get a chance to watch this video, if you want to ping me back again the way you think, because I don't know, I mean, some guys, they take everything from, they start with personnel. Some people start with situations like down and distance. Some, I don't know how you kind of like to view the world. So I'm going to take my stab at it. But if it's a total whiff and a miss, then hit me back with how you view the world, and I can redo this kind of in that vein. But let's start with this. So we're thinking about, this is a quick review of you and how you stack up offensively against Hampton. Again, you guys are doing a lot of great things offensively. But let's probe it a little bit here. Let's just look at the run game specifically. And I'll show you how this integrated dashboard can kind of help us see some things. So again, if I look here in the run game, right, let's just start there for a minute. Now I know you're 60-40 pass, but let's just start with the run game. So this is how you're doing offensively. You're performing really well. Tons of blue, lots of good looks. The only thing that sticks out is potentially underperforming is your outside zone running game. 38% successful, only 2.8 yards of play. So, but man and counter, which are your two primary concepts, just, really great. Like 70+% efficient, really good. Now, so lots of really good looking stuff here. The question is, let's look at what Hampton's doing against the run. So if I toggle, I'm going to leave this set. It'll hold all these filters. But if I toggle over here, let's look at Hampton. So you're doing tons and tons of good stuff. Here's Hampton's run defense. It's already filtered for that. Now we can see a couple things. If you look at them as a defensive strength, again, we're looking at a defensive staff, so they have a strength where you see orange and yellow and red, that kind of stuff. So in terms of run defense, they are pretty good against outside zone. So what we just saw in your self-scout, outside zone is the one thing that you guys really haven't been great at, and it's one of the things that they're really good defending. So this is an example of outside zone, generally speaking. You're not great, they're pretty good against it. Probably, you're not running tons of outside zone anyway, but outside zone is probably not the best concept against these guys. So they defend it pretty well. If you look at now, if I remember from your primary concepts, so I remember were man and counter, if I remember right. We can toggle back in a second and see that. Now, what we see with these guys is they haven't seen a whole lot of man and counter. They've seen very little of it down here. They've seen a lot of inside zone and outside zone, but you don't run a lot of outside zone. You don't run a lot of inside zone. You run man and counter. They haven't seen it a ton. When they've seen man, they haven't yet been able to stop it. And you guys are really good running man. So pound them with man. It's kind of the story this thing is screaming. Now, you're also very good running counter. They haven't seen it much, but they've been pretty effective stopping it. They've only seen it 6 times, but it's only been successful twice. They only give up 1.2 yards per play. So in a small sample size, they've been pretty good against the counter. So this is again an example where man, they haven't seen what you do it very much, but they haven't stopped man yet, and you've been great from man. Counter's kind of a strength on strength look. So you have lots of great options in your run game. Do what you're doing. The only thing the data says is, all things being equal, just blow off outside zone because you haven't been great with it. They're good with it. Now, we think about defensive packages here. Look at them defensively. Most of the time, they're showing this 3-3-5 look. Okay, that's about 72%. And now that may not be. Let's see in total. That's run specific. But let's just look at it's basically that. So if you look at their total defense here, 77% of the time, majority of the time, they're in this 3-3-5 defensive package. Okay, and then to about 13% of the time in a 3-4. So between the two, that's about 90% of what you're going to see. So bulk of the time, you're going to see them in a 3-3-5, right? So if we go back here, let's look at the running game again. This is another way to kind of look at it. You're probably going to see a bunch of 3-3-5. Look at your self-scout again. Let's toggle over there. So you guys, so it's kind of interesting. You haven't seen a whole lot of 3-3-5 yet. You've seen a bunch of 4-2-5, 3-4. you've always seen about 8 plays of 3-3-5, so you haven't seen a bunch of what you're probably going to see this time. Now, the few times you've seen it and run against a 3-3-5, again, this just underscores the story. Okay, the few times you've seen 3-3-5, what you haven't run well is outside zone. Again, they defend outside zone well. It just goes to the story again of just. Listen, you know me. I'm talking like a data guy. I would not talk like a coach, and I don't mean to be like like I know, coach. I don't know better than you. I read data, but reading data, the data's kind of screaming, blow off outside zone. Okay, just stick to what you do so well. From a 3-3-5 look, you've killed people in man, and they can't stop man and haven't seen much of man, so just pound them over the head with man. You don't even need to mess with outside zone. Against these guys, they stop it pretty well, and you haven't done much of it. It's kind of not worth it. That's the point. So anyway, this way we can kind of plot a path through the red zone, or not through the red zone, but through the run game with these guys specifically. Okay, you guys have been really good in so many places. If you wanted to get into something, let's say we wanted to get into something specific related to, let's just look at them real quick. If there is certain situations, you get down in the red zone, is there some nuances to think about in the run game? If you look at them down here, here's these field positions. Their run defense gets really bad down in this lower red zone, this +14 to the +4. They're really performing pretty poorly. And even the high red zone, 25 to 15, they don't perform real well in the red zone. So, if I look at them here, looking at red zone running game, see what they're doing defensively. Again, they have a lot of weaknesses here. Again, the only thing they defend well is counter. Pretty much everything else is successful against them here. If I look at you guys and your running game down in the red zone in that same area, let's toggle over. You basically do everything well except outside zone. So the bottom line is you should be able to pound them with the run when you get down in that red zone area. They can't stop it, and you guys have been fantastic running the ball down in that part of the field. So anyway, there's a lot of really good stuff in the run game against these guys. It's not, if there's a message, it's you just blow off outside zone. That's kind of the data message there. But most other things are wide open to you that you can play with. Let's look at the pass game. So here's you guys in the pass game, 50% efficient, doing again a lot of really good things. Let's just kind of the thing to do is let's line it up against them. We'll look at some of these strengths. You're really good getting the ball to the wide receivers, both the left and the right wide receiver. Really effective getting the ball to those guys. The receiver on the outside on either edge has been really good. You're really good getting the ball right and left. Yeah, you got a lot of great things in the passing game. But let's look at their pass defense a second. So let's see what we can match up and kind of line up here. So we'll flip over into here. And so I'm looking again for obvious strengths and weaknesses kind of stuff. They're about 48% efficient. They allow 7.3 yards a play. They're not dominating by any stretch of the imagination here. If you look at some of the routes, look at some of these routes here specifically. This zero route shows up a lot. The zero route's a wide receiver screen. Okay, they've not. Their wide receiver screens are 69% efficient against these guys, so they're not stopping them well. The 3R, so 9R are go routes, and go routes are harder to connect on because they're a longer pass, but they're only 38% efficient go routes against these guys. But wide receiver screens real efficient. The 3R is like a quick out. The quick outs are 70% efficient. Here's hitch routes, 63% efficient. So there's a thread of these things in here: wide receiver screens, outs, hitch routes, all good options for you. You look at directionally; they have their soft spots are to the right and over the middle. They're generally better defending teams that are throwing to the left side with these guys. So I'm looking at these 0 route, 3 route, 6 route, and again, let's look over here for you guys in self scout. So let's see here. So here's you guys. Look at you. You're really good with 6. Here's 0. Here's 3. So the things that they can't stop route-wise play right into your hand. These type hitches, outs, wide receiver screens. Here's your slant. All these things you've been very good at, and they haven't stopped well. You're pretty good over the middle. They're not good defending the middle. You're really good going right. They're not good stopping right. They're better defending the left, but you're real good there too. So you have some real directional advantages that match up well, and a lot of these routes are playing right into your hand. To be honest with you, so I think there's a lot of good matchups that we see on both run and pass against these guys. But what I wanted to show you here is how you can take this dashboard. We can put both things in it, and with it we can kind of toggle back and forth and say, okay, look, here's a good matchup, here's a good lineup, here's something to potentially avoid, like we saw that outside zone stuff. Okay, let's just do this real quick on their opponent scout, so that we can kind of look at them, what their pass defense looks like. Let's say by down even, right? So on first down, they're not great. They're not great stopping the pass. First down's a good down to pass against them on. They're 54% efficient allowed on first down. And if I look at first down in them, so let's look at their first down passing game, and we're looking for things that stick out. Teams having tons of success getting to the right and left wide receivers, and wide receiver screens real good. Even go routes pretty good. On first down, they've really struggled to defend passes going to the right, the offensive right. They've really struggled with that. We look at you guys again, it probably plays right into your hand. So you guys in first down passing, again, left and right, you guys are great getting it to the guys that they can't stop. Okay? Here's, and you guys are really good going to the right, and they're really bad to the right. There's just some great matchups here. You know, first down passing game, look at these routes you're good at, focus on those, and the extent to which you go to the right with your passing game should be an especially good matchup, since you're averaging 10 yards of pass play on first down passing to the right, and their defense on first down passes going to the right is 75% allowed, 12.5 yards. They can't stop it, and you've been good at it. So a lot of good, like I said, a lot of good matchups in there. So I'll leave this one here, and if you have questions or thoughts or things that you want to probe based on watching, just ping me back, or we can set up a Zoom meeting, whatever you want to do, to kind of collaborate on this stuff. Now let me quickly, while we got the time for a second, let me bring up your defensive look. So again, offensively, you guys are, God, I'm just telling you from the data read, you guys are really performing well offensively. I think it's the again, I'm not trying to throw stones at anybody because I really don't have much of an opinion because I don't have any credibility as a coach. But I think the data standpoint of things is saying that the challenge is more on the defensive side of the ball. And specifically, as I remember from looking at the self-scout, this is updated self-scout. It's more specifically your run defense here. So I think we saw that last time. Your run defense is 60% efficiency allowed, so 60% of the run plays are successful against you, which is that's hurting you because your pass defenses looks really solid, 36%, and only 5.6 yards of play. So a lot of really good stuff in the passing defense side of things, but the run game been tougher. So let's look at this defensive matchup. Okay, so let's look at the run game. We'll kind of set your self-scout. We're looking for where do we see weaknesses. Well, there's kind of a number of them. Outside zone's been tough for you. 65% success against you. Power's been another tough move. Whoops, I think I accidentally hit something there. Let me go back to where we were. So outside zone's been a weakness. About the only real strength specifically has been you've defended the counter pretty good in the run game. Okay, we'll be conscious of this over here. Look at the different packages you've been in. I think we mentioned this last time. You see all these 3-4, 3-3, 3-2. All these looks in here are just blue, 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 which means defensively, when you're in these 3 down lineman looks, you're getting run on. When you're in 4-3 or 4-2, when there's 4 down lineman 4, you're performing significantly better in your run defense. But let's look at what they're doing in the run game. So if I toggle over to Opponent Scout, I get a look at Hampton's run game. Now, Hampton's got a pretty efficient run game. They're 57%, 6.3 yards of play. If we look at this, they're really good running inside zone and power and counter. They're really good from most directions. Here's these personnel groupings, they're really good running out of 11 personnel. So 11 personnel, 60% efficient, 7.3 yards of play. They run the ball really well from 11 personnel. Okay, and if we focus on that specifically, that's about 2/3 of all their runs are coming from 11 personnel. Here's their running game from 11 personnel, and it is blue, which means highly efficient. 7.3 yards of play, 67% efficiency. So this is where, again, Coach, I'm not throwing stones, because I'm not trying to be like that in any way. I'm not trying to be dramatic, nothing like that. I'm just telling you from a data read, this is going to be tough because, well, this is the challenge for you, I say this week, because your defensive weakness is the run game. Their offensive strength is the run game. So it's, you got your work cut out for you stopping them in the run, just from what the data's telling us right now. So again, from 11 personnel, they're highly efficient, 7.3 yards of play. They do everything pretty well. Here you are defending teams running out of 11 personnel. Let's see that specific look. So here's where you've seen teams running from 11 personnel. Now, here's the good news on this to a certain extent. Here's a few things to be conscious of. So here you are, run defense against 11 personnel. You're okay against the counter. This is a good thing to see a red box like this. You're actually you're good. You've been good against inside zone when teams are running it from 11 personnel. Okay, so that's good because they're pretty good running inside zone. It's good that you have a matchup that's at least a strength on a strength. But you see these other blues in here. These are the ones that are potentially problematic. This pull lead, man, outside zone, power. This whole thread in here, you guys have really struggled to stop. And so we look at how predominant that is. Pull lead, man, outside zone, and power. Let me toggle back over here. Now, so they haven't run pull lead, but power and man, here's the good news. So where you've really struggled defending the run out of 11 personnel, you've struggled with pull lead, man, outside zone, and power. Okay. The good news is they don't do that a lot. So they do man, they haven't really been great. Outside zone, they haven't done much, haven't been great. Power, they've been good. And they haven't run this pull lead concept. So the good news is that the things you've really struggled with, they haven't done a lot of, with the exception of power. So power is really that one that could bite you. They like running inside zone out of 11 personnel. The good news is when you've seen it, you've defended that pretty well. So it's a strength on strength, but you're going to see it almost certainly. And they're good with it. You guys need to live up to this performance, I guess is the point, because you've been good defending it. It's important to see. Again, in that run defense, you look at this here. Now, we're looking at your self-scout here. Run defense against teams in 11 personnel. You see this directional challenge for yourself here. You've defended 11 personnel when teams are running to the left and against the offensive left. So when offenses are running to their left out of 11 personnel, you guys have actually been pretty good. It's yellow, 44%, 3.7. It's when they've gone right that you've really struggled. 2/3 effective, 7.1 yards of play. So you have 11 personnel, you have a weakness on offenses going right. Now if we look, let's toggle back over here to them, opponent scout. Let's look at them directionally. See, they're really good going right, but they're really good going left also. So it almost doesn't matter. They're equally strong in either direction. It's just you got to be real conscious of this one. So 11 personnel, them running right, they're real good. You guys have really struggled to stop teams going that way. You've been better when they've tried to go left. So it's about being conscious of that, of their run game coming right out of 11 personnel could be a challenge, for sure. Now, if you look at what they've seen, this is again in their opponent scout. Let's back out of just the 11 personnel. Let's just look at their run game globally for a second. So you can see most of what they've run against, almost everything they've seen so far in the 3 games we have on them is 4-2-5 or 3-3-5. Okay, that's what they've seen the most of. If you see here, they're about equally efficient. They're about 5.6 yards of play from 4-2-5, about 6.1 against 3-3-5. Now, so you see those two packages. Now we know already from you guys, so your strength, anytime you've been in a 3-down lineman look, it's been rough. So they're equally good against 3-3-5 and 4-2-5. But we know you have some where you've been in a 4-2-5. Only about 11% of the time you've operated from that. If here's 3-3-5, so here's the two things that matter. If you're in 3-3-5, you're giving up 6.8 yards a play and 65% efficiency. If you're in 4-2-5, it's 54 and 4.6. Now, I don't have the expertise to know when and how. I'm not going to tell you how to call your defense. I don't know. It's just to say that you're obviously you're better if you're in this look than this look. They've seen a lot of 4-2-5 and 3-3-5. That's most of what they've run against. So you want to be conscious of the fact that that's, that the 4-2-5 is a better defensive package against them in this case. Okay, let's look at, and just the secondary, let me just say this. They have not seen a bunch of what you're most likely to do. So your top two defensive packages is 3-4-4 and 4-3-4. They haven't seen much of that. So we don't really know, but your 4-3-4 has been significantly better. In terms of stopping the run, being in this package is probably your best bet. They haven't seen it, which could be something they don't have familiarity with, and you've been good with it. Might give you your best look. All right, let's look at the pass game for a second. So we're on your self scout right now. You guys have defended the pass well. Again, we're looking at different targeted positions, routes, pass directions. The good news on your pass defense is it looks globally really strong, regardless of what package you're in, regardless of what down it is, regardless of where you are on the field. It almost doesn't really matter. You've had some susceptibility to these hitch routes and a couple of these quick routes, hitch routes and quick outs. Teams have been successful against you on, but for the most part, this is a pretty globally strong pass defense. So if we look at them, now they're really strong running the ball, but them offensively in the pass game, you can see the color is almost the same. So they're not throwing the ball well, and you're defending it well. So the pass game, again, on paper, is something that should definitely be in your favor. It's the run game that can bite you against these guys. But if we look at general strengths that they have in the passing game, it's a couple. Generally speaking, they have a real directional strength. If they are throwing to the left, they have success. But over the middle and to the right, they haven't had a ton of success. So they're kind of where they do damage to teams if they can in the passing game. It's probably going to be going left to this left wide receiver. You can see that left direction of the left wide receiver. Both really effective looks for them where most aren't. And generally speaking, they don't do it all that often, but plays to the tight ends have been successful for them. And generally speaking, their best passing down by far is first down when they can have success. And so we're looking at your susceptibility to the left and to the left wide receiver because that's where their strength is. Let me just check that real quick. You guys are defending the left really pretty well. Left wide receivers against you haven't had a ton of success. So this is an example of kind of a strength on strength matchup there. This is not an obvious weakness there, but that's where they have some strengths. We'll say that. Let me toggle back over and look through them again. I'm looking for the best routes that they can run in certain situations. You can see they don't have a ton. This is kind of a good news. They don't have very many routes of any significant sample size that have been all that successful. So it's not like some obvious thing that can potentially do damage. I think the thing I'm a little bit curious about is just what they do on first down, because that is their best passing down. So them passing the ball on first down, again, their best strength is to that left wide receiver. Their best route is this 5 route. Let me toggle on this real quick. I think I have the key handy because I don't remember what a 5R is, and I don't want to lead you astray. Let me see if I got it here. I do. 5 routes, comeback route. So that's on first down. So their success in the passing game is first down comeback routes. Okay, something to keep in your mind. And let's just see again. If I go and put you look at the same situation, first down passing game. Again, comeback route, left to the left wide receiver. That's probably where they do their damage on first down. Looking at you guys defensively and against that look, here's your first down passing defense. You're pretty strong, but you got to be a little conscious here, because if we look, you guys on first down have had some susceptibility to that left wide receiver. They've been 64%, 8.8 yards a play going to the left, going to the guy they like to go to in that situation. So I would say awareness is the most important thing on first down. If they're going to hurt you on first down, it's probably to the left wide receiver. It's probably going left on some sort of comeback route to that guy. You guys have not defended that guy necessarily all that well on first down, so probably an area of focus, let's just say that, to be conscious of that one. In terms of comeback routes, I'm looking for the 5 route over here. I don't even really see it in the data set, so it's not something that you've seen a lot of, but it's something that they clearly like to do. So be thinking comeback route. But outside of that, they don't have very many obvious strengths where they can get you in the pass game. So good matchups. I think a lot of great offensive matchups for you in both the run and pass game. So offensively, there's a lot of great matchups. I think the big challenge is the fact that your challenges in run defense play right into their strengths of running the football. It's going to be, important to counter them. I think the thing we did see there too, though, is a lot of the things they like running from 11 personnel, but a lot of things they like to run against 11 personnel, you guys have actually been okay defending. So you just got to be real careful. I think, though, if I remember right, the story was they could really dominate you running to the right side out of 11 personnel. You guys haven't defended that direction well, and they've been really good with it. So it's that 11 personnel running game going to the right. That's where it's like, boom, there's softness and advantage for them there that you got to look to see if you can shore up. Okay, I've blabbered on long enough. Hopefully you get a chance to view this and it can help you a little bit. Again, hit me with questions or thoughts or things like that. And happy to spend any and all time we can with you to help you beat these guys this week. Thanks, Coach. Best of luck. We'll talk soon. Bye.